I'd like to call to order the Westmont Village Board meeting of May 26, 2016, to order at 6 o'clock p.m. and ask Clerk Simsky for a roll call, please.
Mayor Gunther?
Here.
The clerk's here. Trustee Addington?
Here.
Trustee Barker?
Here.
Trustee Barry?
Here.
Trustee Guzzo?
Here.
Trustee Little?
Here.
Trustee Nero?
Here.
Manager May?
Here.
Attorney Zemanek?
Here.
Finance Director Parker?
Here. Would everybody please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And welcome and thank everybody for coming this evening. The first agenda item is open forum, and we do not have any requests, so I'll close open forum and move on to reports. My report is first. I'd ask Larry Forsberg if he can come up and give us a quick recap of the fun fair and that was held a week and a half ago.
I would be more than happy to. The Time Use Cultural Center on 63rd Street held their third annual Family Fun Fair. It was from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And in this only third year, they had an absolutely record turnout. They doubled their participation the second year and doubled their participation again in this third year. I just learned on Wednesday that they raised $3,000 that are going to be donated to scholarships to Westmont students. So it worked out really well. Thank you to everybody who came out and supported the event, bought a ticket, and they are already talking about the event next year, which again will be in early May. So great turnout, wonderful event, and look forward to it again next year.
Thank you. I know Trustee Addington will probably talk about the red, white barbecue, but on Monday, Memorial Day at 10:30, we'll have our annual Community Memorial Day Parade. The parade is sponsored by our own American Legion. It'll kick off on Cass and 47th Street, go south to Richmond over to Veterans Memorial Park for a ceremony immediately following the parade. So we encourage everybody to either participate or come on out and remember those who have given the ultimate sacrifice for our country. I have an appointment I'm going to be making from the library staff, Julia Cohen. She'll be serving on the 100th anniversary committee, so I'm going to be appointing her to that. And then I have one last item, and I want to congratulate one of our own high school athletes, Annie Carlson. And this is the second year in a row where she got all state honors. She got 3 more state medals. She came in second place in 2 of our events downstate. So both years in a row now, she has earned that all-state honors, and we're going to try to have her come in, and we'll say more about her at the next meeting. So we'd love to have her come in and recognize her. So, but I want to congratulate her on that accomplishment, which is huge. So that's from Westmont High School. So that's all I have. I'll move on to Clerk Simsky.
I just have a couple of items. I know Jim will follow up with it, but I also want to remind everybody that the Red, White, and Barbecue starts Friday at 4 in the afternoon till 10:30. Saturday, it opens at noon, and Sunday, it opens at noon. Saturday, it'll go to 10:30. Sunday, it usually shuts down about 8 or 8:30, so that's coming up. On Sunday also will be the Race to the Flag, which would benefit our People's Resource Center here in Westmont. The race will take place at 9 a.m. You can still register that morning. So please feel free to come in and run the 5K. It's always fun. Run, walk, whatever. You are benefiting your own local community if you do that. So I just wanted to mention those and congratulate you on your upcoming retirement. We all look forward to seeing you more around here.
Thank you. Thank you. You might, the staff doesn't, Tom. Attorney Zemanek.
Nothing to report other than I may sneak out of this meeting early tonight to attend a school function if we get through some of the agenda items in a timely manner. And I beg your indulgence if I do that. Thank you.
Family first. Manager May.
Mayor, I just had one item, and it's more of a, well, an update and a report with the street resurfacing program. I don't normally, point this out or report on it, but we have a very aggressive project going on right now that includes, I won't go into the whole history of the 3-year bond project, but we're at the tail end. This is the last project of 5 where we're resurfacing in total what will be 50% of the streets in town. And this last phase has been very large. We do have an obligation to complete all of the work under the bond issue in a 3-year period. So this is by far the largest project we've ever done. There's very rapid construction going on and complications that go with that. Everything from the aggressive work with curb removal, and I'm just letting you know there's been a lot of incoming comment regarding the aggravations with working around the construction. Which are all legitimate and justified, and we agree. And in some cases, we've had, like when we do the aprons for the alleys, we do one end of the block and not the other, so that the alley is still accessible. But for waste management, even though they know they have to back in, and we've been in constant communication with them as far as where we're going to be at and what we're doing, when the day comes to actually do garbage pickup, that day they can't maneuver the alley and they don't do the pickup. And then there's more confusion with the customer service at Waste Management and then what our clerk's office or the business office is giving out information. And then in one case at its worst, they were told to put it out in the street and it'd be picked up the next day, and of course that didn't happen. And then they were told to put it back in the alley. The guy, the apron's open now and we'll be back in. And this really only happened where we have not every location, but where we have T alleys and where they have to back around the corner. That's really where that difficulty came. So whether it's online or direct comment, there's been a lot of concern with that coordination. And this one, I don't know how many miles we're doing this time, but this project is about $2.5 million. And for perspective, our biggest ones before were anywhere to $700,000 to $1 million. At a time. So to do $2.5 million in one project is a lot to do. In an interesting way, or it's always good when you're wrapping up, but like when you go to the south side of town, you already see the streets and they're already up to surface, where they're only just grinding off the asphalt now on the north side of town. So there's a flurry of stuff going on all at the same time, and I just appreciate everybody's patience with all of that.
Okay.
That's all I had.
Very good. Trustee Adding.
Steve, I'm sorry, if I may, I was going to bring it up on my report, but if I may, I think overall, one thing that I've heard throughout this is that people are questioning whether K5 has done even up to state standards as far as the road closures, the cones. I've talked to a parent today at Manning, and there's like nothing there at Manning, and yet there's heavy equipment, there's 2 cones there. So somebody had questioned whether they're even up to the state safety regulations on closing these roads and having them marked, which the more I drove around, I could really see what people have as a concern. So I don't know if we need to contact, supervisor at K5 or if we need to have the police look into that.
It certainly should be communicated to them, but I can say that when it's a resurfacing as opposed to reconstruction, on purpose, none of the roads are closed. So the marking is identify them as being in construction, and then all of the good care that comes with that comes with the fact that it's identified as being a road in construction. So we don't, for everybody's convenience, we don't close the roads. That doesn't mean that that there should be gaping holes or something that somebody can fall into, but any of these places, particularly when they first grind off the existing asphalt, it's very rough going and there's rocks and gravel all over the place, and that care has to be understood. So I'm sure they're lawfully doing it the way they're supposed to, but the point is still well taken, and Mike will communicate that to the foreman and make sure that that remains a concern. And then you pointed out earlier too with the it's always fun when there's like new home construction and contractors trying to work on a parcel while the street's being worked on at the same time, and then the school bus, that's when the school bus wants to go down the street.
As long as we all know we're working on it. That's the main thing,
Yes.
and we're looking to improve it as the project continues,
Yes.
I think is the main thing. So, thank you, sorry.
Thank
didn't mean to
you.
interrupt.
That just used up trustee Addington's time.
That's fine. Not that I ever take any.
Trustee Addington.
Couple things. I was advised the other day, this is kind of a really nice thing, since Memorial Day is Monday. A restaurant called McCormick and Schmick, which is located at 3001 Butterfield Road in Oak Brook, as well as their other restaurants they have in other places, are giving free lunch or dinner, entree, to any veteran or active service member on Monday, Memorial Day. All you have to do is identify yourself, and it's for that veteran or for the active serviceman, they get a nice meal on Veterans Day, which I think is really nice. So I wanted to mention that because I think that's a really great thing. The second thing is that June 1st will be our next economic development meeting. We have 3 things on the agenda for June 1st. And I have it right here, excuse me for a minute. We have an expansion from the BMW that we're going to be hearing about. We have an expansion from Ultima Motors, and we have a new business at 21 North Cass called Begin Again. These are all coming in front of us at 9 o'clock in the morning back here in the boardroom behind me on Wednesday. So everyone is more than welcome to come. Again, we're getting multiple requests now that we're seeing at economic development, and so come and enjoy and have fun. The other thing is that new places in town, Mora's Mediterranean Cuisine, which is 31 North Cass, is now open. Grill 89 by Ditka's and Kusanova at 800 East Ogden and St. James Crossing is now open. And we're doing a ribbon cutting for Dazzling Styles, which is at 4116 North Cass on June the 1st. So those are all things that are coming up. Again, it's really exciting. We got new places opening up, and we've got new restaurants to try out. Not that I like to eat. And speaking of eating, this weekend, of course, is the Red, White, and Barbecue. Each of you have, by the way, a little pin that I put at your place. This was a pin that was drafted by one of our committee members strictly for this year. It's the 10th anniversary of the Red, White, and Barbecue. This is our 10th year, and so this is the 10th annual pin, so this is something of a keepsake. If you come out and wear it, I might even let them give you a beer. Or a soda pop, whatever.
Pay for it.
You notice I didn't say free.
Yeah.
But it's going to be an exciting weekend. There are going to be, I've got 42 professional teams cooking on Saturday, 56 cooking on Sunday, and 61 amateurs. So almost 160 teams cooking barbecue this weekend, plus the carnival, plus the beer tent, plus I think the Splash Pond is opening. There's 20-some crafters and other vendors that are there, and I think we have 11 or 12 food vendors. There's 4 or 5 doing barbecue, and then there's others, pizza and hot dogs and corn on the cob and, everything barbecue. So come on out and enjoy yourself, and we're going to have a fun weekend. And that's it, sir.
Thank you. Trustee Little.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a couple of items. First one is I'd like to invite to the podium Christina Rogel, the office manager for the Westmont Special Events, and Bob Reed, Vice President of the Special Events also, to let you know a little bit more about the street fun that's coming up in a week.
Hello. So in 1 week, we're starting our cruising nights and street fair, and it's going to be a same layout, 3 blocks on the Cass Avenue from 5 to 9. We're planning to have more cars, more people, more fun, more vendors, more car clubs, which we're having 8 car clubs coming at this moment. Would you like to add something?
Well, yeah, I would really like to thank all of our sponsors that are all on our handouts that we give out to everyone for all their help in making this happen, to support us and keep us going.
And we are still looking for volunteers. So please contact me. The phone number is 829-9378.
And this is every Thursday night through the end of August?
Correct.
Any questions?
See you there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The other thing that I wanted to mention is that there will be the Illinois Special Olympic Torch Run on Sunday, June 5th. It kicks off at Burlington and Cass Avenue, and they're going to run north to the fire, or to the police and fire station. So. 10:15. They changed the time, thank you. Okay, so come on out and watch that one, that should be a lot of fun. Do you know who's running this year?
I've done this for many years, not the running, I did the driving part. Trust me, I do the running part. They travel, I think it's 27 miles throughout DuPage County. Every year they look forward to coming through Westmont. About 10:15, it'll be a series of buses and vans. If we don't have any runners, and anyone who wishes to run from Burlington and Cass to the police station, more than welcome to come and join us. If not, just be there to cheer the runners on. It'll be a group of runners from all different police departments throughout the county who will run the route for us carrying the torch. And then we stop at the police station, get to meet with them for a few minutes, and then they go on next to Oak Brook is their next stop. So they're scheduled 10:15, Burlington and Cass. Usually they may run a few minutes late. If it's raining, they will still come and drive by. So we'll stand out in the rain and wave as they drive by. So.
Great, thank you. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Barry.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have that the Public Works Committee meeting is, our next meeting, July 7th. It'll be in this room before our board meeting, and we encourage the public to attend and see what's going on in the Public Works. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee Nero.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a few items, and a couple more than usual. I apologize. I'll be quick. I wasn't here last meeting, so I got to catch up on a couple things. First off, I wanted to thank Trustee Barker for putting together and really committing a lot of time to that storm sewer stenciling program. I had the fortunate chance I was able to make it and go out there with him, and I tell you, it was really cool. And I know he mentioned it last meeting, and I just wanted to say thanks. It was awesome, and what a good impact that project was. The next thing I wanted to thank Mr. Al Carson. He always does a lot of work for that pet promenade, and this was probably the coolest one I've been to since. I think it was the 5th one. If you haven't heard, they brought this big alligator called Bubba, and I did stand considerable distance away from him, but he was giving rides to little kids, and it was just unbelievable. This thing was like a dog, how it did tricks. It got in and out of the van. It was really neat. So I encourage everybody to get out there next year. It was a fun event. Next item, again, just to touch with Trustee Eddington said, Grill 89, if you haven't been there, give it a shot. I've been there for lunch and dinner. Awesome, awesome food. And then also last Saturday, we had our annual DuPage River Sweep. And this year was a great success, and I wanted just a special thanks to Jill, Public Works employee Phil, and John Yater, our village forester. We got first hands, we got in the water, we got dirty. There's some pictures on the website. We pulled out a ton of garbage. It was disgusting. We were caked in it. But again, another good project to really clean up the waterways. So it was a lot of fun to be out there. Let's see, what else do we got? Public Safety Committee. Next meeting will be June 9th. It's a special meeting. It's scheduled for the purposes of reviewing the status of consolidated dispatch for Westmont. Our next regular meeting will be June 23rd. And that's all for Public Safety Committee. Kids Safety Camp. Please sign up. Current signups are low, so we would like to have everyone help us spread the word, and please sign up. You can visit our website and sign up pretty quick and easy on there. If any of your children are interested, please sign them up as quick as you can. It's a great program to be involved with. And then the next item is kind of unique. We just wanted to give kudos to a Westmont police officer for saving a turtle on Cass Avenue. I guess a special thank you was given from a resident who witnessed a Westmont police officer rescue the turtle that was trying to cross Cass Avenue during a morning rush hour. So that's just enough courage right there to get out in the middle of the road and do that. But the mother and daughter saw and were just so appreciative of the officer's excellent work. They had a great story to tell the kids at school, but also took the time to send a nice note to thank the officer. So that was kind of neat. And then next, I just want to congratulate the newest, I think it's the newest Westmont resident. Michael Nero was born yesterday at Elmhurst Hospital. Congratulations. Very cool. ordered a picture with me. I haven't seen him yet. He just comes home tonight. So hopefully if we don't get out too late, I'll swing over there in Williams and check him out. I'm really excited to meet my new nephew. And then next, I'd like to call up Chief Mulhern, or Deputy Chief. All right, Chief, come on up and talk about the open house.
On Saturday, June 4th, the day before the torch run, Westmont Police Department, we're back to having our open house. It was on hiatus for several years for a bunch of reasons, but we're looking forward to it again. It'll be from 11 o'clock until 3. Westmont Police Department, 500 North Cass. A lot of activities for the kids. We're going to have a ball where they can see how fast they can throw a ball. There's going to be a CSI hands-on display. And there's a scavenger hunt where they'll get a CSI certificate, but there's also a scavenger hunt where they get something from me as well, too. So a lot of activities. Hot dogs and cake will be available. Hot dogs being grilled by the Lions Club again, as usual. We're looking forward to that. So again, June 4th, Saturday, 11 to 3. Please come stop by and see us. Guarantee you'll have a good time. And the next was the Cop on Top. As you can tell by my red face, it's not only my blood pressure, it was being on the roof last Friday. We did 2 spots. We did 63rd and Cass, and we did Ogden Avenue. Deputy Chief Gunther was on top of the roof on Ogden Avenue, and I was down in my usual spot on 63rd Street. Not knowing there was a competition as to which site got the most money. Proud to say the 63rd Street won again. We were off, but they were off by $300, but they vowed to make it up next year with a vengeance. So luckily, I am proud to report that for both places, we collected $3,100 going especially straight towards Special Olympics. Doesn't go anyplace else, just straight to Special Olympics, and that made all our hearts, made it worthwhile. We were there from 6 till about noon. Mayor and everybody that came to see us, we appreciate it. I understand there were some people who went north, and Deputy Chief Gunther's been sworn to secrecy. He won't tell me who that was. So everybody who visited both sites, we thank you very, very much for your donation. And again, as Trustee Little, thank you for the torch coming through town. It's a quick, but it's a very, very moving event as well, too. So.
Chief, do we have an upcoming auction, police auction?
Yeah, the auction will be also, thank you, is on the same date as the open house. I'm trying to go by memory. 7:45 is viewing. Sorry? 8:45, thank you. That's what I was guessing. 8:45 is viewing at the police department, and at 9 o'clock we will start auctioning off. Rumor has it I'll be the auctioneer. I'm trying to get out of that, but we'll see. We have a whole bunch of items. I don't have a list just yet. We'll try to get it to Larry to put it out publicly what it is. Usually it's old items that have been unclaimed or lost or just discarded. Bikes, we usually have some jewelry. We have all sorts of different things, and I know the IT department this year is giving us, and all other village departments, anything that they, we have to auction off, they give to us, and we auction off as well too. So it's a fun event. That's also another fun event. All the money goes here to the village, but that will be at 8:45 preview, 9 o'clock starting the auction.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And just one other item, I neglected to say, our Public Works Director, Mike Ramsey, was also out there at the river sweep cleanup, hands-on, getting dirty, and I appreciate that. Everybody, all the staff were there on their own time, and it's just a nice thing to see. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Trustee Goose.
I will be brief, Mayor, thank you. Our next Finance Committee meeting will be June 9th at 4 p.m. here in Village Hall. And then I also want to take this opportunity to wish everyone a very happy and safe Memorial Day weekend. And a special thank you to all our active duty and our veterans who protect us. And I just want to say enjoy. The weather's supposed to be nice. And don't forget red, white, and barbecue. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Trustee Barker.
Thank you, Mayor. A few things this evening. We just finished, prior to this meeting, a Community Development Committee meeting, and the ongoing topic of conversation there is permit fees and a good look at residential and commercial permit fees. And that requires a little bit more work, but we're making some progress there. And, the staff has done a ton of work on that, and I think the outcome is going to be very favorable by the residents. So I'm excited about that. On Mondays, the third Monday of the month, Westmont First will have another meeting, and while we're active doing things, we are also going to participate in the parade on this coming Monday. So Westmont First will be out there supporting our veterans, and we're happy to do that. So if you'd like to come out and join us for that, we'd like to have you there. And then finally, I have a special honor tonight. I'd like to introduce or bring to the podium Dr. Pamela Simon from Holy Trinity School. It has a presentation for us this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Barker. I'm honored to appear before you this evening for the purpose of presenting an award. We have 2 annual awards that are presented from Holy Trinity Parish each year at our Gala for Education, which was held on April 23rd. And one of the awardees was unable to be there, being the consummate family man and having to attend his granddaughter's 2nd birthday party. So Mr. Barker has kindly permitted me to make that presentation this evening, and so thank you for doing that. The award is called the Salt and Light Award, and it recognizes an individual who serves as a bridge between the larger community and Holy Trinity Catholic Parish. The nominator of this year's winner wrote, "I have worked alongside this man for many years and speak from the heart when I say I cannot think of anyone in the same category as he. In his service to others, as a founding member on the board of CSPAR, a Lions Club member, a Rotary Club member, a member of the Knights of Columbus, he is so caring and compassionate. In fact, his commitment to many of these service organizations has spanned his entire adult life. The Church calls us to go out and live our lives in service to others and to model our Catholic faith in everything we do. He has set the bar high in our community and entire surrounding area as a Catholic gentleman in what he does. While many people may not be aware how far back his support for our parish goes, I can give examples of how he, in his very early years as the director of the Park District, was able to facilitate our use of the gymnasium, and he has frequently worked to support parish festivals, spirit days, the food pantry, parades, PE classes, and so many more parish activities. While the physical and material support to the parish is important, it is really the qualities of the man that make him so great. His faith, his family, and his friends are important to him. It is because of this that we are blessed to have him as a part of our parish family, or as our friend, co-worker, neighbor, or mayor. He is a Christian man and a tremendous role model to all. You only have to spend a few minutes with him to know that his only concern is about serving others and never about himself. He is always the first person to ask how he can help with any need. The salt and light in the example of this caring for others, as Jesus taught us, is Ron Gunter. So this year's Salt and Light Award from Holy Trinity Parish award winner is Westmont Mayor Ron Gunter.
Hey, Ron.
I think you just got to give a speech now.
Absolutely. Very nice.
It's my granddaughter's
Else?
birthday.
I'm also happy to hear about alumna Annie Carlson and many Holy Trinity Catholic School alumni. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Simon.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Simon.
And that is all, Mayor.
Thank you. That's a great honor. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ron,
Yes,
one more thing.
yes, sure.
You want to mention what you're doing on Sunday morning after the race?
After or before, cooking pancakes.
Cooking pancakes for the race to the flag.
for the Lions
Pancake
Club.
breakfast Sunday
Yeah,
morning.
Sunday
and
morning.
Come on out.
Yep. Up at Tidewater Park. Okay, moving on. Items removed from the consent agenda. Are there any items from the board to be removed? Seeing none, I'd ask Manager May to read the consent agenda, please.
Thank you. First on the consent agenda this evening are Village Board minutes. Board to consider approving the minutes of the Village Board meeting held May 12, 2016. Next is Finance Ordinance Number 2 in the amount of $1,995,430.09. Next is the April financial report. Board to consider a motion to accept the financial report submitted for the month of April 2016. Next are purchase orders. First purchase order, Harris Computer Corporation, $5,520. This is an annual encumbering PO for it's the payment portal we call the iConnect system. Next purchase order, SunGuard Public Sector, $31,822.49, also an annual purchase order, and this is for the police reporting and dispatch software. Next is Containio Electric Company, $29,725. That's for the generator switchgear at the fire department at headquarters. Next purchase order, Target Solutions, $7,372.40. That's fire training software. Next is Discount Fence Company, $14,175. Represents the fence repairs at 500 North Cass. Next is W.W. Granger, $9,487.70, and that's for repair work, the aerial lift work platform. That's not repair, that's for an actual purchase. Next is Fireman Seal Coating, $9,595. That's for seal coating of various municipal parking lots. Next is Engineering Solutions Team, $155,000. These are the civil engineering services for a contract you already awarded regarding the stormwater improvement project in the area of Naperville, Warwick, for the design engineering. Next is AECom Technical Services, $36,798. That is for the Public Works Needs Assessment. Next purchase order, DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau. This is an encumbering PO for that program for the assistance. This is encumbering the entire amount. In fact, for that program, only $10,000 of that $25,000 is applied to that program, and you'll also have on the finance ordinance a $2,500 payment to be applied towards that program. That is the last purchase order. That brings the total of purchase orders to $324,495.59, which brings the total of purchase orders and finance ordinance number 2 to $2,319,925.68. Next and last on the consent agenda is a hotel motel grant request for the Red, White, and Barbecue. Board to consider an ordinance awarding a hotel motel grant request in the amount of $2,500 to Westmont Lions for the Red, White, and Barbecue event. This is something that's done annually. The village pays up to $2,500 for reimbursement of no more than 50% of the expenditures. And if approved tonight, you also asked for balances in the program. So that would leave a balance of $15,000 in the grant fund, if assuming approval. And that completes the consent agenda.
Do I have a motion to approve as presented?
Motion to approve, Addington.
Second, Little.
Motion been made and second to approve as presented on the question. Trustee Barry.
One question. On section 4, it's, purchase order 11039-034. I see that that's a budgeted item, and I'm sure it's just my memory now, but refresh my memory on what a public works needs assessment is for $36,000.
In the, if you recall, back in the budget process, both Public Works and there was a separate one for the fire department, it was a needs assessment that inventories, not only the work that's done in there, but it's a facilities needs assessment. So it's the equipment we have or the equipment we should be using, how to house it, and get it into one facility. And then there's a similar one for the fire department. You may or may not recall, but Public Works did have one done, I want to say, it was in excess of 10 years ago. Yeah. 2002, so.
Okay, thank you. I was just didn't recall what it was.
The agreement for that study.
Any additional?
Well, that's a good point. So it's actually an agenda item to approve the study. This is the PO encumbering that amount. So because we do POs first, I should have pointed that out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing no further questions, I ask for a roll call, please.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
No, I'm just going to go right there. Moving on, we do not have any unfinished business. We'll move on to new business, and I'll ask to have agenda item F moved to the front. It's the 50 West Ogden Tesla Motors. We have a number of individuals here that are here to discuss it. So I'm moving that to the first one, and we'll go through the order after that. And on this item, the board to consider an ordinance approving the following requests from Tesla Motors to allow the sale of new automobiles in the B2 General Business District. 1, special use permit request to operate an automobile dealership. 2, plat of vacation request. And 3, final plat of subdivision request. And Community Development Director Ziegler for more information.
Thank you, Mayor. The public hearing occurred on May 11th. There was conversation, discussion regarding point of sale for vehicles and how that affects local retail sales tax. We also discussed the legal right to have a dealership in Illinois and the impact on the adjacent residential neighbors. A site and landscaping plan and preliminary plat of subdivision had previously been approved by the property by the previous owners, and Tesla has adhered to that design. Final engineering is approved, and the final subdivision with a plat of dedication has been submitted for approval, and that's part of your approvals this evening. Tesla will address the village board regarding the concerns about taxes and the legalities about dealerships that were raised at the public hearing. Christy Ortens and an attorney from representing Tesla are here to address the board and answer any outstanding issues, and I'm available for any questions.
So we should, have them address the board first before we have any motions.
Hello, my name is Christy Ortens, and I'm with Tesla Motors. I'm a design manager for Tesla.
Mr. Mayor, Board, my name is Jonathan Chang. I'm the Deputy General Counsel with Tesla Motors.
So we're here today to ask for a special use permit for having a auto dealership in a B2 zone. And I wanted to kind of speak to you a little bit about Tesla Motors. Tesla designs, manufactures, sells, and services electric vehicles, all electric vehicles. One of the reasons why we're looking to coming to the village of Westmont is because within 10 miles of the radius of this particular location, we have over 600 cars in the market. So one of the goals that we have as a company is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable transport. And knowing that there is a community here who has a sustainable interest, for us, that's one of the reasons why we'd like to come to the village of Westmont. One of the other things too that we like to bring up that came up in the planning and zoning hearing has to do with the sales tax. One of the concerns was, how does the sales tax work? And the way it works in the state of Illinois is that there's 2 addresses required for the sales tax. One is the location, the point of sale, and the other one is where the person is registering the vehicle. And for Tesla, the way that it works is that the point of sale actually occurs at the delivery point. And to talk to you a little bit about what we'd be doing on this property, we'd be having a showroom, we'd be having a delivery area, and we'd also be having a service center. So those 3 entities would be living within this building. And for us, any sale that would be happening and picked up at this location would be the point of sale, which then would be the tax. So I don't know if that answers the question for the tax. And then I'll just open it up to Jonathan for the...
Thanks. It's interesting. I walked down here from our site location over up on Ogden, and I just walked down the street, this beautiful street right here with all the trees. And I was thinking, what a beautiful place for Tesla to be. And it's more than just the 600 cars that we have in the local area. We're moving on to the more affordable vehicle, the $35,000 Model 3, which is really the mission of Tesla, which is to bring the mass market, bring electric vehicles to the mass market. And I think we have 400,000 reservations, heading toward 400,000 reservations for that car, which is an amazing turnout, I think, for that vehicle. And we look forward to bringing it here to Westmont and serving the community here. I wanted to set your mind at ease. I understand that there were some concerns about the legality of whether Tesla can actually operate a dealership, and I wanted to set the board and Mr. Mayor, your mind at ease that it's fully okay and in compliant with Illinois law for us to operate dealerships in the state of Illinois. We have 5 licensed locations already in Illinois. We've been in with the Secretary of State. Jesse White has signed off on each one of these licenses, and they've been vetted thoroughly. The Dealers Association has raised concerns with our first license on whether we could be issued there, and the Secretary of State has reviewed all the legalities around it, all the statutes, and they've come to the interpretation that Tesla can operate a dealership. And since then, we've opened 4 additional ones in Illinois without any issue, and we expect the same course of action here in Westmont. Happy to answer any questions related to it.
That's a question about sales tax.
Yeah, I think they answered it, at point of sale, sales tax would stay here. What about the internet? Then it becomes where it's delivered? If somebody orders over the...
That's correct. That's correct. Yeah, so if a customer is coming to pick up at the Westmont location, the MVPA, the transaction is actually finalized here in Westmont, and that's when you, as the purchaser, will be signing all the documents associated with it, financing documents, writing the final check. And so the site and location of the actual sale, the point of sale, is happening here in Westmont.
And I think that was a question that staff had and asked me to look into it, and they looked into it as far as how does Illinois determine sales tax, what jurisdiction it's payable to for local sales tax. And for local sales tax, they look at your composite selling activities according to the Illinois regulations, and there's 5 factors they consider. So I think related to the mayor's question, if someone lives in Westmont, orders online, would they be paying by credit card online?
The way our transactions work is that you place your order payment online. It acts somewhat as a deposit. So it's $2,500 order payment online. And then the transaction is finally completed when the vehicle is delivered. And that's when the remainder of the amount is due. So with Model S, it's like another $90,000. With Model 3, it would be another $33,000 due at the time.
And so the goal with this physical location is to have vehicles delivered to the physical location in Westmont, the dealership, rather than having it sent to a home or a business address of the purchaser?
Correct, correct.
Do you do that now, where you send it to, you'll have a vehicle delivered to someone's home address?
We do offer that service. I think here, though, we actually have local delivery centers and so other service centers within the area, the general Chicago metropolitan area, where we do deliver cars out of. So a customer would actually go there to pick up their vehicle.
But where you don't, whereas, like, if it is delivered to a home, is it the address of the home that is the point of sale?
It's likely, if it's delivered to a home, it's at the customer's request. So as if they're purchasing a vehicle from whatever store they've contacted, or if they reached out to California. And there we actually complete the transaction at the customer's request prior to even shipping the car to them. It's as if it's on a we call it direct delivery. It's as if it's on a UPS truck now going to, you're getting your Amazon package or something like that. You've actually purchased the product already, and title is transferred, payment has been completed already, and then we drop the car on it, deliver the car to the home.
So like a traditional dealership, you'll have sales personnel there who can, while you're at the Tesla dealership, walk you through the process, get your order placed, and then you'd come back when the vehicle's ready and have them complete the paperwork, make payment, and
That's correct.
take delivery of the vehicle.
Or pick it up at the delivery center.
Which is here in Westmont. It's the
That
same.
will be,
So what's unique
this will be
about
considered a delivery center.
That's correct.
Okay.
What's unique about this location is actually a full-service location. We have locations in other parts of Illinois and other parts of the country that are these mall stores, right? They're mall-oriented, they're showrooms. They get generate a lot of foot traffic. We answer a lot of questions. They're there intended to show people Tesla's technology and familiarize them with electric vehicles. What we don't do out of those locations is actually deliver vehicles. There may be some small instances where we would do it, but the vast majority of those deliveries are shifted to other delivery centers that are nearby. And so what's interesting, what's unique about the Westmont one, it is a full-service dealership. So you're actually getting, I think, the benefits of the sales side, the delivery side, and the service side.
Do you have other full-service locations?
We do. I'm not sure in here in Illinois.
The closest one that we have right now would be Highland Park, and we have a service and delivery center in Villa Park.
Certainly around the country, we have many others.
Is there a cost savings for the purchaser if they buy direct delivery? as opposed to buying it here?
No, it's the same.
It's exactly the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's harder, though. I mean, if you can imagine buying a car sight unseen, right? And
Right.
having to pay for it. And
Right,
some-
I wouldn't do it.
Some customers do. They prefer that, so.
Not with that kind of money, I wouldn't do it. It's a dream I had, right?
So again, just to clarify, and I think I think one of the big advantages here is that if I purchase a car at your Oak Brook location, and whether I'm from Hinsdale or wherever, if I pick it up at Westmont, that sales tax stays here in Westmont, correct?
That's right. You're actually
Okay.
completing the
Okay, and I think
transaction.
that's a big advantage with our location close to Oak Brook, that we're really getting two dealerships, two showrooms out of one. Because most likely, people that are gonna buy at Oak Brook would take delivery in Westmont, I would assume, not Highland Park.
I think
I mean, I may be wrong, but I would assume the majority of those.
I may quibble a little bit. If the sole activity in Westmont is just taking delivery of a car in Westmont, that's not enough to necessarily say Westmont's the jurisdiction in which the sale occurred, because you look at this composite of sales activities. Where was the sales personnel located that helped effectuate or consummate the sale? Well, if it was in Oak Brook, it's not in Westmont. Where's the headquarters of the company located? Well, it's not in Westmont, it's in California, I believe. Where did the seller take action that binds it to the sale? Well, if they came to Westmont and signed the paperwork here when it was delivered, then it would be Westmont. If it occurred online or occurred in Oak Brook, then it wouldn't be Westmont. Next is where payments tendered and received. Again, that could be Westmont, depending on how it's structured, but it could be online. It could be they go back to the Oak Brook sales location in the mall. I don't know if the sales office in the mall allows you to do the final paperwork there or not.
I'm not sure which mall.
The Oak Brook Mall in Oak Brook has a little retail pop-up.
I think they do, because we do because we're licensed there, and we can.
So Trustee Barry, there is, I think, a
It's a
potential.
little bit of misrepresentation here that's saying wherever that delivery is, that sales tax is going, that's not very accurate, really.
It potentially is accurate, it's potentially inaccurate. It depends on what other activities accompany it. If it's solely picking up a vehicle with no other activity in Westmont, they would not be obligated to pay sales tax to Westmont.
Right. We actually view the transaction as occurring when the payment is exchanged, as if you're writing the check and you write the final financing, or if you sign final financing contracts, right?
Mm-hmm.
A customer can actually walk away before that. I mean, they put $2,500 down in order to take the order payment, but when they come into Westmont, and they can take a cruise around the car and walk around it and take a look at it, and if they change their mind, they change their mind. It's no longer their car. We're stuck with a car that we manufactured just for them. And then there's a deposit, then there's the order payment that becomes non-refundable.
Right.
But that customer still has that right to walk away. So it's not actually the transaction that's documented until the very end, right at delivery, where it's a commitment and a payment being made.
So that bodes well. There's 2 of the 5 factors automatically. If they pick up inventory here and make the final paperwork and make payment, that they're covered. And if they have salespeople who actually consummate it here, that's 3 of the factors. They're okay, and they'll be paying sales tax. So, not to mention if someone walks in the door there and views the car and starts the process in Westmont and completes it in Westmont, the village would get sales tax also. So,
And again, all parts, obviously, that's 100% Westmont and so
Yeah.
forth.
Correct.
yeah.
Larry, would you shut those doors, please? Thanks.
That's not locking us in, is it?
What I'd like to do now, I know,
Like the White
wait till
House,
the doors are closed.
they're shut with lockdown?
It's not a fire alarm, it's a access system.
What I'd like to do now is give the opportunity for anybody else who's here to comment about this agenda item. So if you go to the podium, identify yourself, and it's all yours.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Larry Dahl. I'm an attorney for the Illinois Automobile Dealers Association. So our association represents dealers statewide, new franchise vehicle dealers, new car dealers throughout the state. And part of my job, the bulk of my job is to make sure that our members are complying with the laws. The Attorney General has significant advertising regulations or significant licensing registrations through the Secretary of State, tax obligations, Department of Revenue. I try to help keep the dealers on the straight and narrow. Been doing that for about 8 or 9 years. Before that, I worked at the Department of Revenue. So two points I'd like to address. First of all, under the Franchise Act, without trying to make a final determination here, I think there's definitely room for argument that the Franchise Act does in fact prohibit, the Illinois Motor Vehicle Franchise Act prohibits manufacturer-owned stores, and the reason for that is the finding that independently owned stores are essentially a consumer protection. When your car needs repairs, the independent dealer has every incentive to make that repair, especially on a warranty repair. And in this age of increasing recalls, an independent dealer who's there ready to make that repair is more important than ever. Although the Secretary of State has issued Tesla a couple of licenses, quite frankly, the people in the licensing department didn't realize that those licenses were being issued to the owner of the factory. So they didn't realize that they were issued in violation of the Franchise Act. And once they were up and running, a lot of this happened during the economic downturn of a few years ago. They agreed not to close stores that were ongoing businesses, but had indicated that they don't intend to issue new licenses. I guess long story short is 5 wrongs don't make a right, in our opinion.
Can I interrupt you real quick?
Certainly.
Has the state of Illinois put that in writing, that they will not issue any more dealer franchise licenses to Tesla?
No, sir, I don't have that in writing, but I want to make it clear that there's at least room for argument. It's my expectation. I know that's not a lot for you to hang your hat on, sir, but it certainly is not a slam dunk that the license would be issued, and all I can tell you is that I don't expect it to be issued, but I can't.
Have they put in writing that they issued the previous license based on incorrect assumptions?
No, sir.
Okay. So how did you hear this?
We met with Tesla a couple of years after they were opened and had a couple of meetings with them. And basically, when we looked into who the licensed owner of Tesla was, it had the owner's name and then later members of the board of directors. But the Franchise Act prohibits anybody who's either a director or has control of the manufacturer or owns more than 1% of the stock from being a dealer to create that separation. So I don't know if that answered your question.
I was curious whether I heard you that the state said this or that you guys did your own independent investigation and you think there's a problem.
Well, it started with us and we confirmed with the state, is I guess how I would answer that.
Okay.
That, you know, the license was originally issued to Mr. Musk, who created the company. Later it was put in somebody else's name, but still a major shareholder of the corporation. So we had conversations with Tesla a couple of years ago, one about operating on Sundays, which violates the vehicle code, and then also on the factory-owned stores, trying to get them to install an independent dealer like the remainder of new car dealers in Illinois have operating. And then to go to the tax side of the equation for a minute, as was discussed earlier, the local portion of the sales tax revenue is based on several factors, and we discussed them before, just to go through real quick. Where the sales personnel are located and either make the solicitation or the sale of the vehicle, which, using the Oak Brook store as an example, would be Oak Brook. The place where the seller is bound to make the sale transaction, again, a lot on the Oak Brook sales would be Oak Brook. Where payment is rendered, I'm not sure exactly how their model is, but at least the deposit is made in Oak Brook. And then the final two factors, where the inventory is located in the retailer's headquarters. If the inventory exists, it's in California or whenever it's built. A lot of times they're built after the order. And both factors at any rate are in California. So the first two, if not the first three, point towards Oak Brook, and the other two don't apply.
And it's where the inventory is located or delivered So it could, technically, that one factor could be Westmont, but you may be right as to Oak Brook. Just like with any other dealer, to be honest, if a car is simply delivered to Westmont, the village probably wouldn't get sales tax.
Exactly.
And on our special use permit, they have to be actually selling automobiles in Westmont. So you're saying there's a potential that they may not get a license?
Right. Yes, sir.
Well, then, even if we pass it, they still have to, they still have to sell vehicles there. To abide by our special use.
Yeah.
They
Oh.
have to actually sell automobiles in Westmont at that site.
Meaning if they don't get a dealer's license, they can't operate
They
here.
can't operate here because our special use
Right.
requires that.
And I think, although it's not, the special use ordinance that you have, that was passed out for you tonight, does list a number of special conditions, and they're the special conditions that are typically imposed on auto dealers. One that is not included, but Mayor, thank you for bringing it up, would be it's contingent upon them obtaining a state of Illinois franchise, automobile dealership franchise license.
So they would have to comply with that in order to operate.
Otherwise, this would simply be a inventory pickup location with likely no sales tax.
And non-conforming for.
That does not conform to the special use.
Yeah, so we would, yeah.
And we're kind of concerned of letting that type of cat out of the bag of, you know, if other dealers followed that model of setting pop-up stores around the world or around the state, you know, how that's going to affect the tax base of where the stores are located. So,
But it
you know,
sounds-
we're afraid to let the cat out of the bag.
From what's been presented to the village is that the village will be receiving sales tax for a large number of the activities that take place here. They will be selling cars from this location, and they will be applying for an Illinois franchise license. So, you know, there's nothing legally that would stop you from voting on this tonight.
Right. Yeah.
So would you put it in your documentation that they would have to require that, or should we?
It's automatic.
It's already there, okay.
Well,
Our definition.
to be a car dealer, you have to have a license. Nevertheless, I'm going to add it as a special condition, so it's crystal clear that, you know, this just can't be a point for customers from all over the state just to come pick up their cars. Otherwise, it's a parking lot,
Well, and I think that would be everyone's
which
concern.
requires its own special use, and that's not what's in front of you tonight.
Thank you.
John, this is a question for you. I don't know that we would be in a position if the state of Illinois determined that it was a dealership. I mean, that's something that we would have to stand by.
Yes.
You know, it's not something that we determine.
You've got no right to control any aspects of an auto dealership except as it pertains to zoning.
So, and then if they don't get a license from the state, then they're not a dealership, and therefore it doesn't have it.
They don't get a special, it gets pulled.
Thank you.
Anybody else from?
Hi, I'm Mike McGrath. Good evening, and I own the McGrath Acura McGrath Lexus stores here. We've been part of the community for over 20 years. And what I will tell you is change is inevitable, no question. And personally, this isn't anything against Tesla. I think their products are great. I'm a big fan of their cars. But what I'm skeptical on is the way they sell cars and the protection of the consumers. What I guess I'll just touch on what hasn't been discussed. And what hasn't been discussed is it's not crystal clear that it's a new car franchise license. I mean, you can get a new car dealer's license without being a new car franchise license, and I think there needs to be a distinction that you understand. I could be a new car lease dealer without a franchise and be able to sell new cars if I leased them and sold them. I mean, there's nothing to stop me from opening up a new car franchise, and there's similar dealers already located on Ogden Avenue. I'm not aware of any in Westmont, but further west, okay, that are used car dealers that also lease new cars and have the proper licensing for that. So it's not just either or on the licensing, and I think we need to be clear about that. And that is what I think Pandora's box is offered here, is If you're going to rule that they can be a new car dealer, okay, it needs to be very, very clear that need to be a new car franchise dealer selling their product only. If you only require them to be a new car dealer and they come in with a new car license, okay, but then allows them to distribute cars that are ordered online or at Oak Brook, okay, I can tell you their attorney is wrong, okay, on what the sales tax is. I mean, he's dead wrong. He doesn't understand the Department of Revenue's 5 sources of sales tax. Okay, I think most of them have been brought up here, but from my experience from doing business in the state for 30 years, I'm well aware of the laws. And what he's speaking of delivering a car here that is sold out of the Oak Brook location is absolutely wrong. If you think Oak Brook is going to let somebody purchase a car there and let Westmont receive the sales tax, it's not going to happen. Okay, but what's even more interesting is if things change that way, okay, you're going to change the dynamic of the community of car dealers. And again, change is inevitable, and the change can very positively affect me. Okay, but that's not what the new car dealers want. Okay, they want to keep status quo, and I'll tell you why. Okay, if we're able to open multiple storefronts within our 7-mile boundary of what we're regulated by the state, and if I'm able to put a storefront over at Oak Brook Mall, and believe me, I wish I could, but I can't. But if I could, Oak Brook would be receiving the sales tax, and it expands my base. But here's the problem with all of the auto dealers. Okay, it heavily stacks the deck in the most favored manufacturers, which I'm lucky enough to own. So let's break all the 34 manufacturers into 4 tiers, tier 1, 2, 3, and 4, and let's talk about number 1, which is all on Ogden Avenue. Mercedes, Audi, Toyota, Lexus, Acura, Porsche. Okay, those are all tier 1 franchises that can go open up somewhere else. But you take a Fiat dealer, or even a GM or a Chrysler dealer or a Ford dealer over a few years ago who are down in the bottom tier and almost on the brink of bankruptcy, those dealers are fighting to survive. They can't open up in additional communities. So I would say the car dealers body as a whole would say they're against that. Even though the top tier dealers would love to have it, it's going to squash the smaller dealers. It's going to extend the range of the big dealers who are lucky enough to have great brands and extend their reach to flatten, okay, the smaller dealers. Okay, it's going to create a parity, and that is what the dealer body does not want as a whole. So, but we have to be careful with what we consider a new car license. Okay, a new car license is not just limited to franchise. Okay, and I think it needs to be very clear, at the very least, if that's what you're asking out of them, it's a new car franchise license to sell their product and their product only, because a new car license can be obtained through the state to sell new cars because you're a reseller of them. Leasing companies hold them. There's dealers on Ogden Avenue, not in Westmont, that hold them west, okay, of this township. So at the very least, I would caution you on that. But fundamentally, okay, it should be stopped right here. If you're going to kick that can down to the state and let them determine whether they're able to sell new cars or not, you've put yourself in a very vulnerable position. You put yourself in a position to, now they have a new car license, okay, which I don't think you can stop once they have it. Okay, and they're going to be able to deliver all the cars that they sell out of Oak Brook. And Oak Brook, I believe, is their #1 location. Okay, I mean, you can maybe ask them that question. I mean, they sell the bulk of their cars there. That's why the bulk of their inventory is located in this market area. I mean, all that sales tax revenue is going to be out the window. And if they buy it online, that's up for grabs too. I mean, that is a heavily debated topic in this state right now, especially because of the Amazon model and other online services. So before Pandora's box gets open, I suggest to you to do not issue a special use permit, because there is ways, okay, of getting a new car license, okay, and them avoiding the sales tax inevitably by delivering cars out of this location that were purchased online or at Oak Brook, and they're still a new car dealer, but they're not allowed to sell new cars at this dealership. They would be allowed to lease other brands that are franchised. They'd be allowed to sell other brands at this location. They probably will not be allowed to sell their own product, but they'll be able to deliver it if it's bought at another location or sold online. So I would urge you to stop the zoning at this level and don't kick the can into the state. We believe we have it handled there too, but it's going to open up Pandora's box if the state approves a new car license that's not a new car franchise license, and you've got your new car licensed dealer. It's a different license, but it is available.
Well, I think Tesla can speak to that, but I do know, I think for either type of dealership, it's a prerequisite that they have the underlying zoning in place so that they can apply. So it would basically, if you were to punt on this, they could not get a dealership license in Westmont until they can confirm they've got underlying zoning approval. Maybe you can ask Tesla as to what type of dealership license they are applying for, whether it's a new car dealership license or a new car dealership franchise license, if I phrase that properly.
Yeah, I want to correct a few things here. There's a couple of things to keep in mind. What we've heard so far is like the new Motor Vehicle Franchise Act. You need a franchise license in order to do things. The new Motor Vehicle Franchise Act speaks to franchises, right? The whole statute was enacted in order to protect franchisors against their franchisees. A Ford versus a Ford dealer. A Ford manufacturer can't sell. The actual prohibition is worded in this way. A manufacturer cannot operate a motor vehicle franchisee. It's very specific to that. Now, Tesla's a bit unique. We don't sell cars through franchisees. We have no franchise anywhere in the world. Every single Tesla vehicle is sold by the manufacturer, direct from the manufacturer. And so the whole purpose of this Motor Vehicle Franchise Act that protects Ford, the manufacturer, from Ford, the dealer, isn't necessary. There's no conflict of interest here. We're not competing against our own dealers. We're not competing against we're not competing against McGrath Tesla, which is down the street from us, and trying to put them out of business by undercutting them or anything like that. That worry is not here. The Secretary of State has come to accept that. They recognize that that is what the intent of the law is, and they've issued us not only the 2 licenses that he spoke to, 3 licenses after we've had those discussions. They're well aware of the situation here in Illinois.
And those licenses are they automobile dealership?
I don't know. I don't have the phrases right, like the actual distinctions. It is the same license that allows us to sell new vehicles to consumers. The same license that Mr. McGrath likely has for his dealerships.
Okay.
So I don't think it's kicking the can to the state. I mean, it is the state's purview to license us as a dealership, and they have in the past, and we think that it's going to happen again here. There's nothing to indicate that they wouldn't, right? And we've been operating just as they've always told us to, and in full compliance with law.
Got a question also, if I may. At the Planning and Zoning hearing, a question came up whether they'd be selling used automobiles in addition to the Teslas, because they might be accepting trade-ins, et cetera, and how would that work? And the testimony, if I recall right, was will help facilitate customers selling their trade-ins, but we're not actually going to be buying those and selling them from this location.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct. So we do take in other Tesla vehicles, right? Having the knowledge base about these vehicles, we're able to resell them. So we do take Tesla vehicles in as trade-ins. But if a customer comes in with their BMW, their Ford, their Acura, we won't take those cars in. We will set them up with dealerships. We might even send them to McGrath. I'm not even sure. But we'll set them up. We'll send those cars to the dealerships. We'll even obtain quotes for the customer from the dealership in order to buy the car. And then they would execute that used car transaction with the other third-party dealership.
So a restriction that says you will only sell Tesla new or used vehicles would be acceptable? And you'd be prohibited from selling any other brands of vehicles from this location?
It would be acceptable, I think, with a caveat, like to what end, right? I think part of it is that Tesla operates in full compliance with law, and whether we have a used car operation that is selling other brands or not selling other brands, we have the right to do that. And so to what end would you be limiting us to only selling Tesla?
Well, I point this out. I think every dealership up and down Ogden, whether they're a Lexus dealership or a Mercedes, sells other brands also. And the village has never restricted it. I think what the village is concerned about, if anything, is that this is a new car dealership, and that's their primary business operation, is selling new cars, not being a delivery point only, or not being a place where other brands' used cars are being sold, plus a delivery point.
It's a delivery point. It's a showroom. I think you've probably seen the renderings of what the showroom is supposed to look like. It's a service location also. As far as other brands, that's not in our business plan today, but and we would accept that, I think. But it's not it doesn't really comport with what, like, to what end would you be limiting us? That's the part I don't quite understand. And we're not only selling, we are selling used Teslas out of our locations also.
Yeah.
We don't inventory new cars. There may be a small inventory if it's like a test drive car or a service loaner, right? But each one of our cars, if you were to place an order today, you would custom specify your car. Every car that runs through the factory there's a name on it, right? Someone owns that car as it's going through the factory.
Well, I'd leave it up to the board as to a special condition, if you think, just leave it open-ended, as that they have the right
John,
to.
a couple things. You know, it seems like even yourself might need some more education on franchise act versus, you know, regular dealership versus franchise dealer. I know in the past on some of these deals, we've rushed into them, and then we get the rest of the information down the road. So I guess a question to you, is this something that, you know, you would feel more confident getting more background on and then advising us on the best way to proceed? Because first of all, no one's under oath here, you know, so we're going by hearsay of, you know, franchise dealership and non-dealership and so forth. So there's a concern there. Not that I doubt anyone, but if what Mr. McGrath is telling us is right, I believe that the wording should be franchise dealer only. And just like any other franchise dealer, they could sell used cars, they could sell trade-ins and so forth. I guess I do have concern now that it's been brought up that all of a sudden this is just a leasing port for another brand and just, again, as you said earlier, a storage facility or just a showroom, and then someone else is reaping the tax benefit. So again, if this is something that, you know, you as our council need more background to feed to us, I would feel better moving it to the next board meeting or kicking it down the road, so we made the right decision, that's all.
So to answer the one question, do I need more information about the dealership license and the type they need? We've never asked that question of other auto dealers, and we never know whether they'll get their dealership license for a particular location until after they get the zoning approval and then they apply to the state. And I think that would hold true with anybody, that it's possible they never open, despite the fact that you guys have approved it. Tesla's, so am I comfortable? Yeah, I'm comfortable. I think we just specify they need an automobile new vehicle dealership license to operate, because they have represented that they're not even eligible for a franchise license because they don't have franchises. And they don't have franchise licenses at their other locations, and they're not going to apply for one here because it's not what their business model is. So am I okay with that part of it? Yes. If you guys want to table this for more time to look into it, or direct me to look into it more, I'm happy to do so. That's up to you guys.
You know, John's been researching this since the planning and zoning meeting, and I think if we add conditions to it, like he's talking about, I think then that probably protects us for the things you're looking at.
So again, you would do that on your own, or do you want that as
That'd be part of the
as part of the motion?
Yeah, I think we should make sure we're all on the same page when a motion is made. You've got a draft ordinance with a list of special conditions. Some of those we've already talked about, need tweaked a little bit. It's kind of hard to specify that, you know, I think we'd put in there that they're, I'm not sure how to ensure that sales tax dollars come to Westmont, because the fact of the matter is there's going to be delivery of vehicles that are sold elsewhere that are going to be picked up in Westmont. And you're likely not going to get sales tax from that. But it's also true that they're going to, from what they say, and we can put it in the ordinance, they're going to have sales representatives there. They're going to have limited inventory on display, and they're going to be efforting to make sales from this location and generate sales tax. And I think if you put all of that in the ordinance, you've protected yourself somewhat. Yeah. You're not going to cover every single situation, though. You're not going to cover the internet sale that some guy makes in Iowa from his home, sight unseen, and then he drives to Westmont to pick up his car.
I'd like to just put this out here because I'm struggling. You know, you got a great car, but we want to do what's right for the community. But then again, as sitting here, I don't want to do anything that's going to hurt our existing auto dealers. in any way. So in my mind right now, I need more time, I need more information, and I need to make sure that we're, taking the right step. So I guess that's where I'm at. If there's a vote taken tonight, I'm on that fence because I want to protect, and not protect, but I don't want to make a judgment tonight, not having clear cut, this is the right thing to do for us. And it's not against the car, but I want to make sure that the dealer is the right fit and it's the right dealership that we need.
And specifically, so we know if there's any more research to do, if this does get continued, is it with the dealership issue? Is it with the sales tax issue? Is it
It's
everything?
both, because we've heard opposing views and we heard a right and wrong. And, like Harold said, nobody is under oath. I don't know that it's one of those things, it's clear as mud right now.
They were under oath when they said we have, I think it was at least 4 other dealerships licensed in Illinois that are operating.
Right.
So the state on at least 4 different occasions has granted them a new vehicle automobile dealership license. And while there may have been discussions with McGrath or the auto dealership, that apparently no legal action's been filed after those other dealership licenses were issued in the past.
Yeah, that's kind of a question that I had is, are you pursuing that? Did this, I heard the state made a mistake, but I don't know that the state made a mistake. It's hard for me to take that and say that the state made a mistake. But again, I don't want to hurt McGrath or anybody else because we're bringing in something that is not quite the right fit. So
I will just make one other comment about hurting McGrath, and of course you guys want to protect all the local businesses, but competition isn't proper reason for granting or denying zoning relief.
Right.
So if you're worried that a big box store is going to put out a small competitive retailer, that's not a valid zoning reason for denying the big box store to come into town. It has to be based on other things like, geez, the noise, the traffic, the lights, all that other stuff. The infrastructure can't handle it. So in dealing with this issue, I just think you can take as much time as you need, obviously, but simply saying I want to protect McGrath or any other dealership along Ogden may not be enough to.
yeah, and that's not what I'm saying. I want to make sure that I'm voting for or against taking the right steps so that I can live with that. And I do want to know that there's a tax benefit to this community to put them there.
Yeah.
And it's not clear to me yet.
And the reason for that, I would think, is, any business, but a business like this that has a high investment on site requires police protection and other public services, and there's a drain on the community, and there should be a corresponding tax benefit, you hope. So it's a great question to look into.
And there's also an economic impact of them being there minus the sales tax. We're all aware of that the restaurants and the gas stations, well, I guess maybe not gas stations won't prosper from this, but in general, there's always an economic impact with activity, and that's a positive. But again, I was just informed tonight, and I did not know that was accurate, that these are the only franchise dealerships. There is no Chevy franchise dealership, there is no Ford franchise dealership, or I guess they're all franchise dealerships, no factory dealerships, and I was not aware of that until tonight, so.
That's a new model.
That's a new model, and again, not to competition, I think the McGraths or the Iozos, anyone would tell us that competition there is good. That's why all those dealerships are aligned there, because that breeds sales. So I don't think any dealership would rather have that vacant than a dealership. What I'm concerned with, and it sounds like Bruce is also, is the playing field fair for an independent franchisor versus a factory-backed store? And then without that economic sales tax coming off of it, I don't know that we've kept a level playing field for the auto mile. And that's where I have.
Can I make a couple remarks?
It's a whole different.
Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead. All right, just real
Trustee.
quick, I get the idea of sales tax. I think that's a little sticky, and I'm okay with delaying that to kind of get a little more, I guess, solid substance answer. But I I'm fully supportive of Tesla's competitive advantage, I think, by these factory-owned stores, and I think we're experiencing the evolution of the auto industry with Tesla. I think that's kind of neat. I think it allows consumers, and it was, I want to kind of understand what, it was quoted a couple times, protection to consumers. I don't know what that meant. I don't know if you lose certain things buying something direct from the manufacturers, you do from a dealership, the lemon law. I'm not sure what that means. So I'd like to know what that means. I know it was quoted a couple times by the Automobile Association attorney and Mr. McGrath. I'm very supportive of our all dealerships. I've even purchased a car from Mr. McGrath 5 or 6 years ago. So I want to stay away from, you know, protecting and supporting. We all support them, we get that, but the main thing is where's the sales tax going to go and where is it going to come from? And that's the basis of my stickiness that I want to clear up a little bit. They got a neat competitive advantage, and who knows in 10 years if Lexus buys up every dealership? We don't know. You're right. We're on the cusp of change, and this is kind of neat. It's kind of neat to see it like this from this perspective. It's just I want to stay away from the competition side, because that's not for us to decide. That's for the market to decide. But what is for us to decide is to make sure that we're protecting our sales tax and make sure that we're going to get, you know, something out of this, because there's a drain on resources and things to have this there. So I just want to clarify where I'm at is just sales tax. I want to understand it better. I just don't get it, to be honest. It's kind of confusing to me.
Yeah.
You can, but can I ask you one thing?
Yes.
Kit, is there a problem waiting 2 more weeks so we can gather more information?
I think there is. We'd like to get construction, have this closed and construction underway. I mean, it's an empty facility. Right now, it's used as an inventory warehouse for the Lincoln dealership right next door. It's a bit of an eyesore in Westmont.
Sure.
We want to change that for the community, and we'd like to get that underway.
Go ahead.
Yeah, make a few additional remarks. So, I think the tax, we've all outlined these five requirements, and query whether you guys do this for all the dealerships, but McGrath, right? And maybe it's a common last name, but McGrath Nissan, McGrath Honda, McGrath Acura of downtown Chicago, McGrath City Honda, McGrath Lexus of Chicago, McGrath Acura of Westmont. McGrath has dealerships all across Illinois. It's the same as Tesla. We have Tesla dealerships all across Illinois. The tax base gets figured out. Right? And we have a tax staff that assigns the tax liability to it. We work closely with the village collectors to make sure that they are getting the tax that is due and owed to them. Right? And each of the communities we deal with, we do the same thing. And we pay taxes in accordance with what I've testified to already, which is based on the delivery location, because that's where the commitment and the final transaction actually occurs with the customer.
Just to ask the attorney, will we be able to find out anything in 2 weeks that we don't know today?
Not as far as how the tax laws work, no, but as the finance director could learn some anecdotal information from other communities if he's able to get a hold of their finance director and they're willing to talk about, for example, in Highland Park, what's their experience up there with receiving sales tax dollars. I imagine he's going to say, yep, they're selling cars and we're getting sales tax dollars. But certainly that would be one avenue of inquiry that the village can make.
It seems to be this big contradiction. You know, this is like the third time I've heard you say, well, if they're delivered here, we're definitely getting the sales tax. I mean, that was just your closing thing. If they're delivered here, but that's not what you're telling me, John. You're telling me that that's not so definite.
Yeah, it could go either way.
I think he said if they're delivered here, that's where the final paperwork is going to take place, where the final payment is going to take place, and how they see it, that's where the sale is consummated. And what the Act says is that the retailer basically goes through those factors, and it's their job first and foremost to make a good faith determination to whom they should pay the taxes. Now that can be challenged, and then there's lots of legal challenges that have occurred over the years by different retailers and who should get the taxes. But I think the determination is first and foremost with the retailer analyzing these factors. And if it's, again, delivered in Westmont, the paperwork's completed in Westmont, the final sales paperwork.
That's different than what he's saying. You're
and the
saying
payment.
delivered in Westmont, but you're adding to the fact paid for in Westmont.
Well, I think
So
that's
in other words,
exactly
if I
what I
pay
mean
for
by
it,
delivery.
if I pay for it in full in Oak Brook,
Yeah.
are they getting the tax or is Westmont, even though I'm getting it delivered in Westmont?
So you got to parse.
I do
you gotta
my
parse it
final
out.
paperwork in Oak Brook and I made the full payment and I want to
Made the
pick that
payment.
car up in Westmont.
Then you're actually just doing it. I don't know why you would do that, but
Well, because I'm there and I have the money, and you're gonna get the car ready for me in Westmont, and I'm there shopping with my kids, and I wanna buy that car. So
Yeah.
does that, at that point, does that tax?
if you want to take the title associated with it and your car's
Again,
going
I'm
to be
just
registered
trying
and
to
all-
clarify.
I would think if
Yes.
that were to happen, Oak Brook would get the taxes. If they first ordered the car there, they completed all the paperwork there, they made the final payment there, they had sales associates there, and the only act in Westmont was picking up the car after all that was taken care of, Westmont wouldn't get sales tax.
Right, so there's
So
a,
again, that phrase that we
True
keep
with
hearing,
anything.
wherever the car is delivered, is really not an accurate
Right.
statement.
So for example, if McGrath Chicago makes a sale in Chicago and customer picks up, but they say, well, the car in stock isn't in stock in Chicago, but it's in stock in our Westmont location, go pick it up there, even though all the paperwork's complete in Chicago, Westmont's not gonna.
it's the same situation, that's correct.
Yeah.
So I do want to make the distinction, I'm not trying to parse words here, but delivery, I count as signing the paperwork and exchanging money and all that stuff. The difference, I think, is pickup. If all you're doing is doing a pickup, right, because you've bought the car, title has already shifted, you've committed to buy the car, that car is yours, you can pick it up wherever you want.
You guys deliver it too, right?
So, right.
You deliver to them.
We call that a direct delivery. It's equated to like a pickup,
Yeah.
It's shipping your car.
Trustee Addington.
I have a point of order with all this discussion, because a lot of the trustees are chipping in now. This has never been put on the table with a motion. And shouldn't it be before we start talking?
Yes.
Trustee Addington, you have a motion?
No.
Follow the rules now.
Somebody else can, but I'm just bringing up the fact that we went a long time discussing this and it was never put on the table to discuss.
Yep. And we've done this a couple other times when you have representatives here. You like to question them before a motion's made, because now there's a consideration maybe to postpone it till next meeting or table it.
Well, if you're gonna do that, then you're gonna put it on the table in order to make
Yes.
a motion.
Yes.
May I put one closing remark? I think Tesla is here not to put the dealerships out of business. We're here trying to open a store, right, to convert something that has been abandoned now, an empty building. I went over there, sorry, I know we have animal lovers here, but there's like dead birds and ducks surrounding this building, right? And the Lincoln dealership next door is using it as a storage facility. We're looking to come to this community, be a good citizen of Westmont, bring to it jobs, bring to it commerce, and there's a tax base associated with that also. And then to serve and bring people from outside of Westmont into the village as well. So I think it's a good thing. We're trying to do a good thing here in Westmont.
I do have to comment on that. I've heard nothing but positive as far as even if we don't get all the sales tax of what it's going to do for us, the image-wise, get people on that side of Cass Avenue, extend the Westmont Auto Mile. So I've heard nothing but positive from outsiders saying you'll bring in that image. And it's a hot item right now, so. If you want to table it, I'll need a motion for that, or if anybody wants to make a motion to approve as presented, or,
Motion to approve as presented. Barry?
Second Guzzo.
motion's been made and seconded to approve as presented. Now on the question, we can officially.
Do it again.
Trustee Addington, Marie.
Yes, and just to bring this up one more time, even though if this does get approved tonight, it is all contingent on that state of Illinois car dealership, new car dealership license. On average, John, this may be a question to you or to the attorney, how long before you would hear if the license has been approved, generally?
I've only processed one such application in my life. I can't remember how long it took.
So,
I've processed too many, but because they're on different states, they all have different timelines.
So it could be-
In Illinois, I'm thinking it's probably in the 4 to 6 weeks, maybe 4 to 8.
Okay.
Some states actually take a few months to do.
This,
so.
again, this is a technical question that I would throw back at Larry, which is, this probably doesn't even go in front of the 5-member Secretary of State's committee that works on franchises. Because as Mike will, you probably weren't even around, but your dad and I went around and around trying to get the Acura dealership in here many years ago, and that committee, it was like hitting your head on a brick wall. Because Acura was on 53 at that time, and we were what, 150 feet inside the circle? Something like that? Wow. And I was writing letters to everybody, their uncle, and finally they worked something out. And then 2 or 3 years later, they moved it to Naperville.
Right. The question is the same.
That's history lesson, but
you
it
don't
just
have
still
to-
cracks me up.
And
Go
you
ahead.
know, the question, trustee Addington, was?
The question, of course, is how does this get approved through Secretary of State? Because if it was a franchise, the Secretary of State has a committee that does some of the background work.
Right, they've got a dealer licensing section that will process the application, and it will ask questions about who the manufacturer of the vehicle is, who the owner is. And, you know, going back to the original Tesla applications, you know, Elon Musk might as well have been Joe Smith. You know, they didn't know who it was. That the person applying for the dealer license was also the owner of the factory.
Right.
There's a little better knowledge base there now.
But that means that this is something new. This is something new, something different. And I guess I would ask the question, what's happening in other states? Because I'm assuming the manufacturer is doing the same thing all over.
That's correct. We don't have a single franchise anymore.
No franchises. So this is for us and for everybody else that's involved, this is new territory.
And again, I think if in fact it's voted, the additional items that John was talking about all have to be part of that.
So do we need to amend the motion?
There was approve as presented, but I think,
We could shoot that down and just start.
Shoot it down if
You
we want
make an
John's
amendment.
suggestions in there.
Yeah.
Might be a better.
As amended.
Yeah.
so vote it down and then go back.
Well, not vote it down, you can amend
Just
it, amend
amend
the original motion to include additional special conditions.
If you want those in there, yeah,
so
trustee,
you wanna-
yeah.
You guys ready now, or what?
I did want to answer a question. I know there was
Here we
some.
go.
There was a question about anecdotal evidence regarding sales tax, and I had a brief conversation with the finance director of Villa Park today, and he had said to me at the time he wasn't 100% sure what the model was for that dealership, but that it did generate a significant amount of sales tax. And so it was nice to hear the representative from Tesla indicate that they're set up as a delivery site similar to the way Westmont would be. So to kind of compare what Westmont will be with what Villa Park had is reassuring in that, you know, the finance director I spoke to indicated it does generate a significant amount of sales tax for their community.
Just from the sales.
Trustee Barry, would you like to amend your
Yes,
motion?
I would, because we have things to do today. I would like to amend my motion to include the provisions that the village attorney is going to put into the ordinance.
And I will amend my second.
Is that good? Is that good?
Which would include that they have to obtain a state of Illinois new vehicle automobile dealership license, that they will, tell me if you want to limit these sales to new and used Tesla vehicles only, and allow them.
We would want to do that.
No.
We don't do that to any other dealership.
That's not our job. I don't like that idea, really.
Okay.
I mean, it's-
I guess I said yeah because that's what they said, but that's all right.
We'd say that the primary activity on the property is selling and servicing of automobiles, new and used
Teslas,
automobiles.
That's the primary.
Yep, that's primary use. So if we find out that it's just a drop-off facility and they're not acting as a true dealership, or if it becomes, if they, well, no, that's
Okay.
another, yeah. I think that's it. I think when we start getting into sales tax, if we start saying they're going to use good faith efforts to endeavor that Westmont gets its share of sales taxes required by Illinois law, all you're saying is you have to comply with the law, and they have to do that anyhow. So I don't know that we can put in.
Whether it was a franchise or manufacturing owner, that's inconsequential.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whether it was an Ace Hardware or a car dealership, it's the same.
And I just want to remind everyone, because I know what I would do. If I'm buying a new car, I'm not paying for it until it's right in front of me and I see it on the spot. Then I'll give you a check, but you're not going to get it before then.
Okay, so the amendment was made and seconded to amend the original motion. Do I vote?
So you vote on the amendment, and then you vote on the original motion
Yes.
as amended.
As amended. Any additional comments? Trustee Lugo?
Thank you, Spencer,
Yeah,
for
thank
the
you.
homework
Thank you.
and the input. Thank you.
Geez, you could have said that an hour ago. All right, I asked for a roll call on the amendment. Noted, huh?
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
On the amendment?
Yes.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Okay, the amendment to the motion passes. Now we need to vote on the motion with the amendment. And I'd ask for a roll call, please.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
No.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Okay.
Mike, your dad and I went around too much on this that I couldn't say yes against you.
All right, the motion passes with the amendment, and the attorney will be, we look forward to your opening.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Board.
Exactly an hour.
Mind if I scoot?
Yeah, go.
Just because we took the
Going back to the original agenda, new business. Police pension trustee reappointment. Board to consider a motion approving the Mayor Gunter's reappointment of Thomas Canati as a member of the Board of Trustees of the Police Pension Fund for a 2-year term. Manager May.
The pension board is comprised of 2 active officers elected by the members, 1 retired officer elected by the retirees, and 2 civilian members appointed by the mayor. The mayor appoints 1 of the 2 civilian representatives each year. Thomas Canidi has served 4 consecutive terms on the pension board, and this is a reappointment.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Addington.
Second, Little.
Motion made, second on the question. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Okay, new business B, appointment of legal representation for the Fire and Police Commission. Board to consider an ordinance approving the mayor's appointment of Thomas Good as legal counsel for the Fire and Police Commission. And I'd ask that Manager May, and I know that before he talks, we've asked our Fire and Police Commissioners to actually do this search.
Yeah, that's essentially it. They had counsel who was previously, I think, retired, but was no longer available to do this. And we put the task back on the Board of Fire and Police Commissioners to seek out representation and solicit this service. And the recommendation is for Thomas Good as legal counsel for the Fire and Police Commission.
And again, this, I allowed them the opportunity to research this and interview, and this is their recommendation. And do I have a
Motion to approve, Addington.
Second Guzzo.
motion made and second to approve on any question? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yeah.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
New business C, reappointment of village prosecutor. Board to consider an ordinance to approve Mayor Gunter's reappointment of Christine Chuckowitz as village prosecutor and Chief Mulhern.
Christine Charkowitz has been our village prosecutor for the past year after the retirement of Linda Pazinski, and she has approached us for the 1-year contract. Terms in the new contract are unchanged. Her prices remain the same from last year. In talking with Attorney Zemanek, I've reached out to Christine. We'd like to leave it an open-ended, so we're not doing this every year and having to do this every year. Leave it open-ended, and if there's any changes, she would contact the mayor, and the mayor would thus inform the board of that. And she told me yesterday she's fine with that and thanked us for considering her for, again, a reappointment.
Is she independent or with the firm?
She's independent. She was with Linda Pazinski. She was Linda's understudy, I guess you would say. And she's now taking over Linda's spot last year. She's done an outstanding job for us. We're very happy. And she also worked closely with code enforcement as well.
And I do have to also, I allowed the police department to also come up with this recommendation. So do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Little?
Second, Nero.
Motion made, second. Any additional comments or questions? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
New business D, 350 East Richmond Lot Area Variance. The board to consider an ordinance approving a zoning code variance request from Elliott Carpentry LLC to allow relief from the minimum lot area for a dwelling in the R3 Single Family Residential District. And Community Development Director Ziegler.
Thank you, Mayor. The applicant is requesting a variance for a vacant lot to build a new single-family home. All of the lots in the subdivision on the north side of the street have similar lot areas. Public comment included questions about the existing well, which has been abandoned, concerns about the new home, and the commission made a unanimous positive recommendation. This lot would need a variance for any size house, and the applicant meets setback requirements and is proposing less than 35% lot coverage, which is helpful in terms of stormwater. The variance is for a lot that is deficient by 371 square feet, and we recommend approval.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Nero.
Second, Guzzo.
Motion made and second to approve as presented. On the question.
I wanted to just make a comment that I remember the last time we talked about lot coverage, and it was for permeable paver driveways, and we allowed that applicant to get up to about 38% lot coverage. And so I'm looking at this as they're going to, I'd like to see a house there, but they're going to have a very small backyard patio because of the lot coverage there, and I don't know if they're aware of that or thought about that. I'm trying to get a house built. That's all. Thank you.
That if he were to use permeable pavers, he could extend the square footage of the, yeah.
The backyard. Well, and actually, the applicant is going to use our new text amendment that we just approved, allowing for the 25-foot setback, so they can actually bring the house up further to the street and then have a little bit more area in the backyard, so.
Any additional questions, comments? Anybody in the audience? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Motion passes. New business E, 522 64th Street, plat of subdivision and license agreement request. Board to consider an ordinance approving the following request from Samir Afsar. That's what next thing I was going to guess, to subdivide one lot into two in the R1A Single Family Detached Residence District. 1, preliminary and final plat of subdivision request, and 2, a license agreement for stormwater and drainage improvements in public easements. Community Development, Ziegler.
Thank you, Mayor. The homeowner is requesting to split one lot into 2 residential lots. They both meet zoning requirements. He will live in one lot and then sell the other after making infrastructure improvements. The Planning and Zoning Commission made a unanimous positive recommendation last fall when this originally went through preliminary subdivision. The homeowner's been very patient with us through two rounds of engineering, or engineers looking at the plat and working on the stormwater issues. Final engineering is now complete, and we recommend approval.
I have a motion.
Motion to approve, Little?
Second, Addington.
Motion made and seconded. On the question. Anybody? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Motion passes. New business G, 143 South Cass Avenue, Darrell Gruder Interior Design. Board to consider an ordinance approving the following requests from Dan Hogan for the following in the B1 Limited Business District. 1, site and landscaping plan approval to allow for construction of a building addition, and 2, commercial masonry waiver request. We still got Director Ziegler.
Thank you, Mayor. The building addition is intended to complement the existing architecture of the building, which is why the masonry waiver is requested. The addition would be built over existing hard surface, which is why it doesn't require stormwater detention. Planning and Zoning Commission made a positive recommendation in May and recommended increasing accessibility to the building addition. The landscaping that has already been installed was in excess of requirements, and that formal plan is included with the packet and would be part of the approval for tonight. And we recommend approval.
Recommend. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve Addington.
Second, Nero.
Motion made and second to approve as presented on the question. Trustee Barry.
Yes, I again agree with what they've said here, that the landscaping, and I think we've seen what Daryl Gruder has done with that building since he's got it. I mean, he could set the tone for the whole downtown. Dan and I do have a professional relationship, so I do need to abstain from the vote, but again, this would be something that I think is a really nice improvement for downtown. So,
Thank you. Any additional comments? Anybody? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Abstain.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Motion passes. New business H, award a bid proposal, water main construction. Board to consider an ordinance awarding the bid to and authorizing a contract with Suburban General Construction for the East Richmond Water Main Replacement Phase 1 project. Public Works Director Ramsey.
Thank you, Mayor. The village accepted bid proposals from 6 contractors for the East Richmond Street Water Main Project. The low bidder is Suburban General Construction with a low bid of $664,985.20. It was approximately 14% below the engineering estimate of $780,000. The staff does recommend that we award the contract to Suburban General Construction with a bid of $664,985.20. This is a project that we're doing ahead of Clarendon Hills' resurfacing of Richmond Street. So we're getting out ahead of them, getting that first part of that project done, so we're not holding up the Village of Clarendon Hills to resurface Richmond.
And similarly, the Clarendon Hills is a bigger project, but we're responsible for half of Richmond Street, so we're getting our improvements done underneath before they're coordinating the other contract though.
Correct.
And this is probably our most troublesome water main in the...
That's left. We've been very aggressive for over 25 years now in replacing a lot of water main, and this is by far the worst street that we have left. Once the street is done, you'll see a big improvement on the lack of water main breaks that we've had.
Mike, have we worked with Suburban before? Have we worked with Suburban before?
We have not, but we do hear a lot of good recommendations from them. We have called other municipalities who have worked with them, and they have said nothing but great things about them. They're out of LaGrange.
Motion to approve as presented, Barry?
Second, Little.
Motion's been made and seconded. On the question. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Moving on. New business I. 650 Westmont Drive, Laurel BMW of Westmont. Board to consider an ordinance approving a request from Laurel BMW of Westmont to extend previously granted temporary approval to use the existing building at 650 Westmont Drive for interior parking. And Director Ziegler.
Thank you, Mayor. AutoNation purchased the 650 building last year and was approved for indoor automobile parking until June 1st, 2016, which is coming up shortly. BMW is requesting to continue this approval for a subsequent year while working on permanent site plan improvements. The fire department remains concerned about the unsprinklered building. The ordinance that was approved last year had a significant number of caveats that the applicant agreed to in order to use it for an entire year. If an extension is approved, we recommend a shorter time period that's tied to the timeline of approvals for a permanent structure. And we also have Tom McCabe from Spaceco, who's representing BMW, who can speak on the improvements that are upcoming.
Motion to approve, Mary.
Motion been made to approve.
Second Guzzo.
Motion been made and seconded. On the question, I allow you to come on up and you can comment on this, or we'll ask you questions.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. As you know, we came before you about a year ago. We have Audi with their new garage going right now. BMW purchased, they not Prudy purchased the tennis center, they purchased that. And then I think they were ready to go, and I think they realized with all the parking limitations, with everything going on, they took a step back on the BMW, quite honestly. And I think their focus was getting Audi, getting that garage done, which is on its way. About a month ago, we got a call from BMW and from AutoNation saying, we're ready to go, you're already behind. So I think when we first went through this, they thought they were gonna get going. They've backed off on it. Now they're really going full force ahead with it. So as you know, one of the interesting things that's gonna happen here is we've got to keep the cars in there, and then we've got to tear it down. Got to tear down the tennis center. We've got to tear down the buildings on that side. We've got to find some place to put those cars while we're building the new facility there, and then tear down the existing facility and then move cars over there. So we're going to have a time area there where we're going to need spots for the cars. My guess is maybe they'll use some of the Audi garage in the meantime. So what we're here for, again, is to extend the use of that, the tennis center for our cars. We're guessing that in our best scenario, we're going to be before the EDC next week. We've got to meet with the neighbors next week. And then we're going to get on the Plan and Zoning Commission, I assume this month. And then hopefully with a positive recommendation there, we come back to you in about a month. Then building permits, those types of things. We're probably, in the best case, we're probably looking at August, maybe September to get our permitting. And then we play the game of, if we tear the building down, we're stuck with the cars and we get a hard winter. So what really they want to do is be able to put in the utilities, do all that work before they tear the building down, because if we can't start the new building, then that's another 6 months where we don't have a place to park cars. So I had sent a letter to Jill kind of summarizing what we had thought. And again, what we would like to do is get our site work started in September, work through the winter, getting all that stuff done, tear down the tennis center in the spring. So again, we have a shorter time period of some place to house those cars. So with that in mind, what we would propose, obviously we'd like to, best case scenario for us right now, we're going to be April before we can tear that building down. So if we say 2 more months, we're at June and we're back to a year. So I'd hate to tell you April, we vote April, we come back March 15th and say because of the weather and stuff, we couldn't get at it. So I know staff has recommended a shorter period of time, and I know the chief has some concerns, but in reality, we're probably looking at a year, to be honest with you.
And the key is, once you start, you want to get it done.
Absolutely.
So it's to your advantage to.
Well, I think we're going to be in tune with everything.
Yes.
And to do it at 6 months, you're going to be right back here.
Right.
To do it at 9 months, they're coming for a 2-month extension. I mean, it seems like.
The basis of the extension was to ensure that there's progress on the bigger project.
And I understand the fire department's concerns, but I'm not as concerned when you put a bunch of cars in their building when they used to have a bunch of people playing tennis and racquetball and other stuff.
You didn't have a bag of gas on it.
And there were a lot of conditions before about no public in there and, just employees and those things, and we're fine with all that. We'd keep operating the way it is now.
Does our fire department have anything you want to add?
See, that'll teach you to let come when the white chief is
Go with the
around.
manager, he just said it, putting vehicles inside with electric and gasoline and, the amount of damage, we would not put our people in there. So, if that building does start on fire, they understand that. Larry Kaufman's already told them we will not put anybody in there. But another year we think is, again, just delaying the whole process. We understand what they want to build, but, how many vehicles are in there now?
I don't know that.
Originally, we were told back when this process started, there was going to be no more than 50, and I believe we're well over that number right now. So that's just the fire department's
So what have
opinion.
we done to enforce that if they're not complying to the ordinance?
We didn't put a number on it, did we?
Fire department, fire inspectors?
No, no, I don't think the approval listed a quantity of vehicles. That was just their announced intention.
What we wanted.
We didn't limit.
No more than what we wanted.
Yeah.
So that's not in the ordinance?
Not in the ordinance, no, sir.
No. And there hasn't been issues this year.
There's been no issues
Okay.
whatsoever.
And again, everything's working towards improving that whole congestion over there with all the unloading and loading and parking cars, so.
What would we do? Force them to put a sprinkler in there? I mean,
Yeah,
that just
no.
doesn't make any sense.
No, that doesn't.
Store them off-site
And again,
somewhere
I-
else, it doesn't make sense.
It's going down.
Any additional comments?
Sir.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Barry.
I guess John's not here, but do we need to say that we want to extend it for a year since that's not in here, Steve? Because there is no timetable in
I
there.
would think the
Yeah, it
motion-
is. It says requesting the continuance for a subsequent year.
Okay, so as presented?
It's,
fine.
yeah, as
Okay.
presented.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just not.
Yes,
on-
as presented.
Yeah.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Okay, and then I guess next week's a busy week. Wednesday, ADC, and I know you're
We'll see you
holding
Wednesday
a,
morning.
Right.
at 11:30 at the BMW on Thursday, the 2nd, you're holding a neighbors type of awareness, what's going on.
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
Larry and I and Jill are putting that together with Pat Womack.
Yeah.
And so that'll be Thursday.
I'll be there.
Okay,
All right.
great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I wasn't invited.
New business, J, Public Works Facility Study. Board to consider an ordinance authorizing a service agreement with AECOM to perform a needs programming study for a new Public Works facility. Public Works Director Ramsey.
Thank you, Mayor. We would like to request approval of the sum of $36,798 for the needs program study for the new Public Works facility project. Staff recommends approving the proposal from AECOM for the services that were listed above.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Nero.
Second, Addington.
Motion made and second on the question. You want to add that question now again?
Yeah.
I heard it was answered before.
Come again.
Go ahead.
No.
I actually have one question. Do we have a timeline on this? When we can expect something back?
The process is we invite them out, and we sit down and we discuss, we actually get a team together, and we actually discuss what our needs are in Public Works, and what our goals are, and what we're trying to accomplish with this program. There's a lot of different steps. One is not only looking at what we currently have, which we've kind of already did that. I walked around, I showed them what we currently have, so they took notes. Now, the next step is to go around in the village and see what possible locations could we build a Public Works facility.
If it was one, or
Pardon me?
if it was like at one location. if it-
Correct.
you know,
Correct.
Opportunities.
Yeah, they're gonna work on a lot of different options. We're not just gonna say this is our only option, that's it. They're gonna give us a lot of different options. And then you gotta figure out what our needs are and what we can do to accomplish to get to all those needs. Obviously, one of our needs is to get all our vehicles under one roof, like Manager May has stated. Another goal of mine would be to try to get us out of a residential area, if that's all possible. It'd be nice to be somewhere that's more feasible for the village. And another goal is to get us all under one roof, obviously, all employees, not just the equipment. So they're going to take all those options in consideration and give us the best assessment they can do, once we start that process.
But to go along with that, what would you anticipate the time frame to when you'll get the finished product?
The finished project of the needs assessment will be about a year.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of, when you're looking at different options, there's a lot of parts involved as far as looking at different properties and, seeing if those properties are even available, and then looking at what we currently own, and, a lot of different things. So it takes a little while to figure all that out, but once that's all done, the actual process, so once we sit down and tell them what we need, it goes pretty quickly, and then they'll come up with some plans and give us the options.
If they want to get paid, they have to be done by April 30th.
Well, and they know that. They know we work on a budget year, so it's actually less than a year from this point on.
The only other comment I would make is that it would be really nice, not just here, but in government in general, if, it seems to me you guys would know your needs more than an outside service. And at the end of the day, you'd be $36,000 closer to your big goal of, you know, so again, that's my only, coming from a small business standpoint, you'd say, boy, nobody knows the needs here like I do. So to hire an outside service to do that for a lot of money, you know, but I understand you guys are up to your ears too.
No, I agree with that, but the thing you have to understand is that they're professionals, this is what they do, and they have a better knowledge of how to go and figure out what the best locations are for this facility. I mean, I could go and say, I think this is a great place, but do I really know? No, they'll look, they'll go and, you know, they'll figure out if we need to do soil borings in the future, or they'll figure out what, you know, all these different options that we can do. And, you know, that's why we go to a firm like that, because they've done this. Well, we have never done this before. I mean, I've worked in the same facility
You can understand from our standpoint as taxpayers, we've already done this with no action on it. So that money just becomes wasted, really. And now here we are doing it again, and we don't know that there's ever gonna be action, and you know, but that's the
I hope there will be action. I mean, that's that is my ultimate goal here, is to make sure something does get done about this facility. But, and bringing back what we did back in 2002, that's part of the reason why AECom's involved with this, because they were Earth Tech was the original company, but AECom bought out Earth Tech, so they have a background knowledge of what we do, and that's why this is so cheap. I know $36,000 seems like a lot of money. I know it does seem like a...
Harold, this was inexpensive, Harold.
But I'll be honest with you.
Less expensive.
I understand, but I'll be honest with you, most needs assessments are a lot more than this. And they have a little background knowledge of what we've done in the past, so it made it a little bit easier, and it makes things a little smoother as far as figuring out what we need and what we can accomplish.
And they look into the future as far as our equipment needs, as far as our, so that's important too.
Right, and if we're, you know, if we have expandability, or if we're going to, you know, what other options are as far as consolidating other departments, you know, they look at a lot of different things. And the big thing is going to other municipalities and looking at what they have, and seeing how we can incorporate some of the things that we like about what other municipalities have into what we could.
So like the Parks Department could be part of that site?
A lot of municipalities do. A lot of municipalities do that.
Still in it, huh?
Yeah.
Well, that's right. No, we talked about that, because when they look at that, if there's a big enough site that can incorporate all the municipal bodies that are maintaining property, roads in one location, then you have the out of a residential area, you have places you can put your product, you got places to unload. Yeah. I think it's just a benefit to the community.
Yeah, there's a village of Carpentersville. They consolidated their fleet where all their parks, all their equipment in the entire village, whether it's fire, police, whatever, all gets done by the police department. Their fueling center is all part of the new public works facility built 5 years ago, and it really benefits them that it's a one-stop shop. They can bring everything to one location, they can work on it and send it out, including all fire vehicles. They don't ship anything out, everything's done in-house because they have the facility to do it.
Two comments.
I, for one, just feel like this is so long overdue. What you've lived with was unconscionable. I'm so happy that we're moving ahead on it now.
I appreciate that.
Two comments.
Yes.
If Jim would have handled this a long time ago.
I like that.
And the second one is, for the $36,000, are we confident that this needs assessment is going to give us everything, that we don't have to go back and do further study?
From what I understand, talking to them, I've talked to them many times.
It's a full package. It's
a
not
full
bare
package.
bones.
No, they're going to give us every option, every conceivable way we can come up with an idea for our village. And hopefully, we can come up with something that we can all agree on and best serves our village.
And AECom's a huge firm. I mean,
they are one of the biggest firms in the world.
They design projects, multi-billion, hundreds of million, tens of $1 million projects. These guys know what they're doing. They're top notch. So I have nothing but confidence in them.
All you need is a majority.
So you're saying there are going to be a lot of change orders? No. All right.
So that you are aware, I did want to mention, one of the deliverables that we're going to be receiving from them is a conceptual design report as well as a cost estimate. So it's not just saying, what do you need, what are your needs, it's saying, and if we were going to do this kind of thing, here's a very general idea of what it would look like and how much it would cost. And that's kind of the piece that we don't have the in-house expertise to do. We can say it'll be about this much, but it's really good to have people that are able to say, based on what we've discussed, here's the basic design, here's a general estimate for cost, so then we can look at planning and be able to figure out how we can get that money to take care of that in the future. And the other thing I did want to mention, in addition to, if there are pieces of this that are not covered as fully as we'd like to, or once we get into it, we decide, okay, we need a little bit more in-depth analysis on this one particular option, we did budget over $100,000 for this type of project to be able to start working on looking at combining the public works facilities. So we've got this $36,000. We do have other money if we need it.
That's a very, Spencer said it perfectly, and that is exactly right. And once they give us all these different options, they give us kind of a baseline design of what then we can say, we like this design, let's work more towards that. That way we're not wasting our time with all the other options.
You also want to get a financial forecast of what it will be, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years.
Right.
As you chase that, it becomes more and more difficult to get.
Trustee Addington.
I just want to point out that a prior board did resolve this issue. And we made the decision to change it. We bought a piece of land for them.
Yeah, it's a Mariano's.
Now it's Mariano's.
That is correct.
Yes,
Bigger
sir.
return on
After-
investment.
We'll do it again.
All right, trustee
After we
Barrett.
get a motion, can we have Spencer talk immediately from now on? Because
Yeah,
I think,
is that
and then there would be no discussion, so.
Oh, very good.
I just want to, only, on top of all the comments that were made, this is a strategic plan initiative as well, so we're
Absolutely.
enacting that.
All right. Roll call, please.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Motion passes. New business K, Brilliant Financial Staffing. Board to consider an ordinance
They call themselves brilliant.
and approving an agreement with Brilliant Financial Staffing. Manager May, or should I say, Finance Director Parker.
Yeah.
Who's handling this?
Sure. I'll try to be brief on this. This is setting up an agreement with another temp agency to be able to work for the village. We have a couple of temp agencies we use on an as-needed basis. This is getting another one. Specifically, we're looking at a temporary position for our payroll administrator, who, as you know, the position is now vacant, and so we're looking for some temporary assistance for right now.
This company specializes in financial temps. And it's brilliant.
Absolutely. Do I have a motion?
So moved, Addington.
Second Little?
Motion been made and second to approve as presented. Any questions? Comments? Roll call, please.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Moving on, new business L, Fire Department fees. Board to consider an ordinance approving amendments to Chapter 42 of the Westmont Code of Ordinances to establish certain reimbursable fire department fees for emergency services. And I'll turn to the fire department to give us additional information.
Thank you, Mayor. The fire department is authorized to charge and collect fees to responsible parties who require emergency fire department services. As you know, the village board on May 12, 2016 approved an agreement with Fire Recovery USA to collect these fees.
Do I have a motion?
So move Guzzo.
Second.
Second Little?
Yeah.
Motion made second. On the question.
Is this also something Mayor Addington should have done?
No.
Add it to the list, huh?
I don't even know what we did way back when.
Yeah, neither do
What I'm
we.
afraid of, yeah.
I did money for the ambulance services.
Pardon?
I bet you we didn't collect money for ambulance services.
Not 30, 40 years ago.
No, that's right.
I'm not going any further back than that.
Any additional comments? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Guzzo.
Yes.
Trustee Barker.
Yes.
Trustee Nero.
Yes.
Trustee Addington.
Yes.
Trustee Barry.
Yes.
Trustee Little.
Yes.
Motion passes. New business M, information technology surplus property. Board to consider an ordinance to declare certain equipment as surplus village property. And I'd ask Manager May to give us additional information.
It is in fact actually just that simple. They have equipment that is no longer service to us, it still has a value. They're like to declare it surplus, and it will be one of the method of disposal or disposition will be the police auction that was referenced earlier tonight, like hours ago.
And this is no different than, I think last meeting we passed 2 surplus for the police and fire department.
This just happens to be all IT.
It's a requirement by law, so I'll Entertain a motion.
Motion to approve, Nero.
Second, Little?
Motion made in second on the question. Seeing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Miscellaneous. Is there any other items? Trustee Barry.
I have a correction. I had stated the next Public Works Committee meeting would be here, July 7th. Mike Ramsey has informed me the next Public Works meeting is going to be July 14th, 4:30 PM at the Water Division, because we had talked about mixing that up. So, again, just a correction. I know there'll be a lot of public attending this.
Very good.
And I would just like to encourage, and I'll probably start crying, all of you to come a week from tomorrow to tell Jackie goodbye. It will be her very last day. She has been a valued employee, done an outstanding job as water billing clerk, and she will be really missed.
What time is that, Ginny?
It'll be all day. It'll
Day
just
just
be,
stop by?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to send us a reminder,
Yeah,
right?
can you send us,
We got it.
Yes.
and again, just to remind everybody, starting next Thursday night and running through August 25th, it's our Cruisin' Nights and Street Fair. And Cass Avenue will be closed north of the tracks to 47th Street from approximately 4 o'clock through 9:30. And again, that's a very popular event. And the last thing I have is it's good to see Trustee Barry here. I know there was a chance you didn't think you'd be here. I'm glad you were. You provided a lot of insight.
We had fun tonight. It was good.
Yeah.
meeting. So, that's good.
Seeing no other information, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved, Addington.
Second, Barker.
Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn the meeting. Roll call, please.
Trustee Addington?
Yes.
Trustee Barry?
Yes.
Trustee Little?
Yes.
Trustee Barker?
Yes.
Trustee Guzzo?
Yes.
Trustee Nero?
Yes.
Thanks to everybody for attending. This meeting is adjourned.